Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stock Dirty to Me, the podcast for young investors, new investors. As you can see, we do have another person here. He is Stock Bro number one, and forever will be known as Stock Bro number one. No, his name is Andrew. Dalton is here as well. He's just getting set up, and we'll bring him on in a second. Of course, you know Tony, the other Stock Bro. I guess he's going to be Stock Bro number two. I don't know. I am, of course, Phil.
I thought Tony's name was going to be the Stock Bro, so I went with the Stock Bros one.
Yeah, all right.
I probably should have did that.
That would have been wise. All right, so I'm going to bring Dalton in. He seems to be ready. Hey, Dalton, are you ready for today's show?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome.
Let's go.
So, of course, we got a lot of talking. First thing I want to touch on is something that we've seen a lot of the members talk about. He's a meme lord himself. I want to talk about Elon Musk manipulating the market since the last 2 weeks he's been messing with people with Dogecoin and now with Bitcoin, saying that he's no longer going to be accepting it for the Tesla. So who wants to touch on this first? Do we want to start with the new boy, Mr. Stock Bro number one? All right, so I'm gonna just send you up into the front here. I'm gonna drop down and then go like that. So tell us, what do you think about Elon Musk manipulating the market like he has been?
Yeah, so his claim is that it's not environmentally responsible to keep letting people purchase Tesla cars with Bitcoin. And he says that, well, supposedly I think Dogecoin only takes like 1% of the energy that to mine that Bitcoin does. Mm-hmm. So supposedly that's his reasoning, but I mean, who really knows what's going on inside his head, if he's manipulating the market or not. But yeah.
This is true. Dalt, we'll jump into you. You're not a huge fan of Elon, but you do have some concerns about this. What do you think about him manipulating the market, first with Dogecoin and now with Bitcoin going on?
I think after he originally got fined for saying funding secured to take Tesla private a couple of years ago. I think he learned his lesson from the SEC. After he was fined, he learned what he could and could not say as far as manipulating markets. And so that is what got him fined, was saying funding secured at a certain price point. And then they gave him a list of things as to what you can and cannot say. And he's just staying right in between that sort of loophole that the SEC has for what you can actually say. And nothing he's actually said since he was fined has actually been against the law. So he'll say one thing, he'll say the next. I don't think anything he says really matters. But the running joke with my friends and I have always been that Bitcoin uses a lot more electricity, or is a bigger polluter on the environment than gas-powered cars, which is true. The amount of electricity it takes to run one single Bitcoin transaction is ridiculous. And he's been allowing you to pay with Bitcoins and buy all kinds of Teslas and stuff. It's just foolishness because it's actually hurting the environment to buy an electric car. So he finally canceled it, which he should have never even accepted it. There's much more environmentally friendly coins, like Litecoin uses, I think, a sixth of the energy of Bitcoin. But again, none of that matters because that's technical, fundamental stuff. And in this market, anything goes.
Okay. And we're going to bring Tony in to get his opinion on this. Tony, how do you feel about Elon manipulating the market with, more crypto market than anything else?
Well, this is nothing new. We saw him do this in 2018, where he sent out a tweet saying, I'm going to take Tesla private at $4.20 per share, which was way more than what it was at the time. And the SEC investigated him and suspended him. Actually, he had to step down from CEO for a while. And they actually did a thorough investigation and found that he did have no investment or money secured to take it private. So he lied about that. And just like he's tweeting out now saying he's working with Dogecoin developers to improve the code, which is probably total BS. Just like he tweeted out, SpaceX is now accepting Dogecoin, which if you break that down, what does that really mean? It means nothing. What are you going to use Dogecoin to what? Take a SpaceX flight to the moon? We're probably so far away from that ever being a possibility. And the other thing is you wouldn't even want to use Dogecoin for that, because then you have to pay capital gains tax as soon as you purchase anything with crypto. So
That's
that trip's
right.
going to cost you, yeah.
You have a video talking about that. You talked with your brother, the Stock Bro #1, about the cryptocurrencies and the taxes that you pay on that. So, of course, you have it placed everywhere in the group, so you guys can go to Tony's YouTube channel and check it out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because him and his brother do a lot of great videos detailing this. We're gonna go into another part of some investment stuff that we were asked about. And of course, if you want to ask questions to our specialists, just leave a comment and we'll be more than happy to throw it up on screen and they'll answer it. But NIO, another kind of competitor, if you will, to Tesla. They manufacture electrical vehicles from China, and they sell it all over the world pretty much. What are the fears about this? Like, should we be investing in this, or what is our due diligence? Not should we. What would you suggest someone do if they're interested in purchasing this stock, Tony?
So I've been looking into this for a while now. Here's the thing. So China has a population over 1.4 billion people. They're the largest market in the world for EV, and they're growing fast. And they have many, many different EV companies in China. And NIO is actually one of the best ones in China. They are the biggest competitor to Tesla, and they actually beat Tesla in April. They sold 23% of the market share of China for EV vehicles. So Tesla was second. And actually, the first quarter of this year, they did sell over 100,000 cars for the first time. Not 100,000 cars in the quarter, but they broke over 100,000 cars total. They sold about 27,000 cars in comparison to last year, where they sold 48,000 cars. So as of right now, is NIO a good buy? I would say no, just because of the fact that this company does nothing but lose money right now. Their earnings per share have been negative for 4 or 5 years now. I mean, they don't really turn a profit. But the good thing about them is over the last 6 months, they're just growing and growing, and their sales are going up and up and up, and they're becoming more popular. And if you look, I did spend some time looking at their vehicles on YouTube. They do have some very impressive technology. They are impressive looking cars. They actually have this cool feature. It has a smart assistant, or an AI voice control smart assistant in the car, where you can tell it to open your sunroof, open the back window, like all these cool features that I haven't really seen in a car before. And they are backed by the Chinese government. So if ever you are going to succeed, being backed by the Chinese government is certainly a positive. So it could be something where you buy it and you hold it for years to come. I was reading an article in Seeking Alpha a couple days ago, where they're not expecting NIO to actually make a profit until the end of 2022. So this company is not even going to be profitable for the next probably 2 years. I mean, once they do become profitable, it could be worth buying, but it's one of those things, if you buy it early and take a chance on it, maybe it'll pay off big in the future. But so I'm probably not going to buy any myself.
So this is more of a put some money in that you're okay gambling to lose, and then eventually maybe you'll hit that like green square on roulette and make your money back.
One thing I will say too is Tesla is not a profitable company either. They don't make any money if it wasn't for government subsidies and selling $100 million in Bitcoin last quarter. So unless they're going to become a crypto house, like, they're going to have to do something to increase their market or their sales and their revenue. So, and Tesla's stock did skyrocket, as we saw last year. So could NIO stock go up even though they're not going to be profitable? Yeah, sure. They could.
Well, they are backed by the Chinese government, so that is a lot of money behind it. We'll bring in Dalt, ask him his opinion on this new company that seems to be jumping on to the market, the NIO. What do you think about Dalt as an advisor with your Bangton Corp Capital? What would you say as an advisor to some clients if they were coming to you with wanting to invest in this?
Will definitely be a no. I think there's better opportunities elsewhere. You need to have a very, very good reason to invest in a company that doesn't make money. And if I'm going to do that, they need to be the only company operating in that industry, or they need to have the most market share in that industry. Unfortunately for NIO, they own next to nothing in the EV market industry. Unfortunately, Volkswagen and Tesla still controls the vast majority of that market. Issue is that's concerning is Tesla and companies like Volkswagen can stand on their own. Companies like BYD, NIO, and anything else coming out of China, unfortunately, needs massive subsidies from the government just to even remain on the day to day. They're not even turning profits with massive subsidies from the government. And the issue here lies in the fact that the Chinese government will be scaling down subsidies for EV companies. So eventually, these, I think Tony said, what was it, 2024? You said, or 2022?
I think he said 2022.
Yeah, they're projecting at the end of 2022 they may actually turn their first ever profit. So
I would disagree. I don't think that's likely. End of 2022, they're going to have less subsidies than they have now, and if you can't turn a profit now, you better hope that sales really go through the roof in the next year. And so I would say no, they're still not profitable. But again, in this market, that hasn't seemed to matter. But it just helps me sleep at night knowing that the companies I have aren't going to disappear into thin air on the very next day. So I like to see companies that make money. And NIO has been doubling revenue. Like I said, you should be able to double revenue if you're backed by the Chinese government. I mean, these guys are giving electricity away for free to Bitcoin miners. So we all know how aggressive China's government is in housing and promoting companies in their own country. So again, doubling revenue under subsidies, great. Let's see you try to double revenue when you don't have subsidies.
That is a good point. We're going to bring in the other stock bro here, Andrew, get his opinion on this company. What do you think about NIO? Would you invest in it? You're a younger guy, would you be like, yeah, let's YOLO this into it? Or would you be like, I'm going to hold off because it doesn't look good for me?
Honestly, I think Tony and Dalton nailed it on the head, but I will say, I mean, look, Tesla's got the most market share. NIO, like they said, is going to be drowning. They're going to be drowning. They just don't have enough capital. It takes a lot to start up a car company and succeed. And I mean, they are an electric car company, and like I said, Tesla's got the most market share. So I think they've nailed that one on the head.
I think another important thing to mention is, like Dalton said, it almost doesn't even seem to matter in this market. It's crazy. It's more of a hype thing than the company being valuable. So as long as people are willing to buy this company thinking that it's going to be the next Tesla or the Chinese Tesla, then the stock could go up, but that doesn't mean it's a good company. It doesn't mean it's a good investment. So you just got to be mindful of that.
Well, that brings me to the second, one of the final points we're going to bring up here. And of course, comments are always welcome. This is a good one from Tony Wools. What about the Lucid car? I have no idea what she's talking about. Does anybody know what the Lucid car is?
Yeah, they came in through, well, I shouldn't say yes for sure, but I believe they came in through a SPAC, right? CCIV or something. I thought they were having some major problems, but I think Dalton would be able to touch on that better than me.
So we'll bring Dalton up onto the screen. Dalton, do you have anything about Lucid Car? Do you know anything about that? Have you heard anything that you can share with our viewers?
Yeah, I don't have much info on the car itself. I will say this: Tony's right. They are coming through, and when I say coming, I mean that deal still has not closed. So shareholders still have to pass that. So when SPACs, they have a certain amount of time when they list to actually go out and purchase. So when that happens, that they decide that they want to purchase something, that deal still has to close with shareholders of Lucid, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously board members at CCIV have decided that so Churchill Capital wants to buy Lucid. That doesn't mean that Lucid shareholders are going to accept a buyout from CCIV. So that's something to look forward to. That deal has yet to close. But that hasn't stopped speculators from pouring into Churchill Capital. But the funny thing is, on the news that they were buying Lucid, the stock dropped significantly. So, I mean, I'm not sure about Lucid's cars and how they compare to, say, any of Volkswagen's EV lineup or Tesla's EV lineup or NIO's. I'm not sure. There's a lot of these companies. One thing I just want to point out, though, because someone in the group had mentioned Ford earlier in the week and asked about their EV unit. And it seems like when people are getting into all these EV vehicles and car makers, it's as if people actually think that Toyota and Honda is never going to build electric cars. And these guys have the most market share. The reason why they're not building electric cars here, guys, is because they are making all the money right now. There's no gas vehicle bans for another 6 or 7 years. And of that time, they are going to continue to milk that all of those sales. And then one day is going to come when they're going to start building electric vehicles, and they're just going to swallow up all the market share there too. That's really the fact. And that goes back to, Ford, Lucid, and any of these small car companies. They're going to have the same tiny market share as they do now once all these other big companies switch over. That's just the way it is. Ford couldn't outsell Toyota before. Just because they're doing electric vehicles doesn't mean they're going to outsell Toyota now. Same with Lucid and all these other guys. Lucid's been building cars for what, five years? Toyota's been doing it for 50, 60, 70, 80 years, right? Yeah. These guys are proven to be doing this at an effective scale. So
they have the scale, so when they start doing it, it's only a minor switch they need to do. They have their cars already in production. It's a small switch, and they can outperform everybody. Now, all these new companies, like you said, they have to build that automation system to compete. But Toyota, Honda, all they have to do is flip a switch for 20 minutes and then flip it back on, and their systems are going. Regular viewer of the group, Patrick, I think, is pronouncing his name. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. He's asking, what is the expected market behavior in this week after last week's corrections? Wow, I don't know how to speak today. Dalt, do you want to touch on that, or should we get one of the Stock Bros to touch on this before?
Yeah, let's get one of these guys to start with that.
All right, we're going to go with Andrew. No, sorry, Tony's not going on. It's you. What do you feel, or do you have any comments on that? And to our viewers, thank you very much for all these great questions.
I have no idea, honestly. I'm going to let Tony answer.
All right, we'll bring Tony in. He seems to be a bit more educated. Do you have anything?
I think that's the right answer. I mean, who really knows? We did have a huge surge Thursday and Friday. I haven't seen the futures yet. I don't know when they come out, but I know typically they're not shown on weekends. But I would think stay tuned for the futures tomorrow morning, and we'll have a better idea then.
All right, excellent. We're going to go into our last topic that we have scheduled right now. And of course, if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know in the comments, and we'll bring it up on the screen. But I want to talk about the AMC and the dangers of meme stocks, and how everybody seems to be YOLOing into these stocks, and they may not be the best investment. We've touched on this previously, Tony, but do you want to just reiterate some of the major points of this dangers of these meme stocks?
So there's a movement happening all over the internet right now, and they're talking about short squeezing AMC. And what this means is hedge funds are shorting the stock, or in other words, betting that the price is going to drop. Now, there's a movement around Reddit and other communities where they're trying to push the share price up. And why would they do that? Because whenever investors are shorting a stock, what happens is the people that are shorting it are using margined or borrowed money. So they have to cover those shorts. And sometimes instead of when it goes too far up, they'll just buy the stock out, and it'll cause a spike in the price. So that's called a short squeeze. So I think a lot of people are betting on that happening, but they don't really understand how that works. Mm-hmm. If I was you, I would not be betting on that. The best case scenario for AMC in my mind is that, I don't know what they're at right now, maybe $14. Maybe they can get up to $20. But we're talking about a company that almost went bankrupt last year. I mean, they literally almost went bankrupt, and they, at the last second, secured $1 billion of loans in January. And I think they're just going to be stagnant until the economy opens back up and we're over COVID.
Yeah, and if
All
I
right, we're going to bring the other stock bro in here and let him touch on it. Then we'll bring in Dalton. He can educate us more as the advisor in the group. So, Andrew, you have a little things to say about the meme stocks of Reddit and that. So go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, so well, you would think so. The economy is actually about to open back up. The CDC just issued, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. So you would think that would be the news that would be affecting the stock price, and not speculation from Wall Street bets, Reddit, and these big companies trying to short squeeze it. But we're in a crazy time right now, and these Reddit forums, the Elon Musk, Twitter. Social media has a huge influence over stock prices right now. So yeah, it's hard to really know. You used to be able to look at a 10K, and that's how you would go about determining if a stock would go up or not. But now you don't really know. It's kind of hard to say.
This is true. We're going to bring in Dalt here, our resident advisor, one of our resident advisors. What are your thoughts on the dangers of these meme stocks and places like Wall Street Bets that are kind of maybe leading people astray or not fully educating them like we're trying to do in the group, Dalt?
Yeah, so I actually just wrote an article on that, and I shared it to the group right before we went live here. But basically, just to sum it up, is last year, 2020 changed a lot of the direction of all these things, that all these stocks that were actually heading towards bankruptcy, heading towards that that coveted $0 stock price. So when they dropped interest rates, money became a lot cheaper. People were handed out $2,000 a month up here in Canada. I think you guys had. But it's every month up here. I think you guys had times 1,400 US or something like that, 1,200 US, and you guys have done 3 of those so far.
Yeah, well, the thing to consider too is we actually had unemployment benefits added too. It was $600 a week on top of what you would normally get for unemployment every week.
Wow.
And that lasted for months. So all these people have all this disposable income now that they didn't have before, and they just dumped it into the stock market. So everything went up. Everything is overpriced. Valuations don't matter right now because everybody had extra money. So
exactly, and that's my point is 2020 changed a lot of the direction for all these things. It allowed people to speculate on a massive scale. So if you want to look at all these stocks like your AMCs, your GameStops, and anything else, look at 2017 to January 2020. And you'll see that what was happening in all these penny stocks, all these meme stocks, it was nothing but bad news. They were all losing, 20% per year. It was ridiculous. People were getting absolutely killed. Even the guy who made a lot of money in the GameStop options, I think the creator of the Wall Street Bets thread, he had call options on GameStop for like the last 3 years. Like he didn't just get into it in 2020. So he was actually getting absolutely annihilated in these options, and he ended up making all of it back and then some once the price went through the roof. But again, it's just massive speculation.
Can you explain short squeeze to people? Because I don't know if I did a good enough job explaining.
Yeah, please.
That.
What is a short squeeze, if you don't mind, Dalt?
Yeah. So I wrote an article on that as well. I shared it. I think that was the article I wrote last week on Sunday.
Always great to go to his blog at bantingcourtcapital.com/blog. I read it whenever he puts one out. Yeah. You have a newsletter as well, right, Dalt?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I will be publishing a newsletter coming out in June too. So that'll be shooting out for all subscribers of the blog.
Would suggest everybody get on that as soon as possible because it's one of the favorite ones I get in my email, apart from the other investment ones I have with our Johnny, the CEO of this group, if you will. So yeah, please explain what is a short squeeze.
So a short squeeze. So okay, I got to explain short selling first. So when you short sell, now this is typically done by hedge funds or more experienced investors because timing is everything when you're short selling. So if I were to go out and say short sell 10,000 shares of GameStop, I have to pay a yearly interest fee on the amount of shares that I have borrowed. So what happens is I actually borrow it. I go to my broker. I say, hey, do you guys mind giving me 10,000 shares of GME because I want to sell those back onto the open market? And I hope that the price will fall so that I can go back into the market and pick it up for cheaper and pocket the difference. So if I, sell 10,000 shares and I make $10,000, then the price drops and now the shares only cost, say, $1,000. I buy them back and I keep the $9,000 difference. That is what your short sellers are trying to do, but you pay a yearly fee for that, and you pay per month for that privilege, right? There are premium fees that you have to pay because you're borrowing funds or stocks that aren't yours. You have to pay your broker in order to hold those, and you have to maintain a certain margin balance. Now, what happens is you can get into trouble if your timing is messed up. So if and this is what happened with GameStop. Should enough people start to buy a particular stock that you have short sold, that price is going to start to go up, and that's going to affect your margin balances, and you're going to get a margin call from your bank, which means you have to put up even more capital to show that you can hold this, even though the price is starting to go against you. And all this time, you also have to continue to pay your monthly interest fees. So the short squeeze comes when it gets to the point where whatever person has short sold, when they have to
pay
actually go back into the market. What's that? Sorry to
interrupt you. Do you have to pay dividends on it too, right?
I don't know that part.
I think if the stock receives a dividend when you're in a margin call, you're responsible for paying the dividend, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay, possibly though. I'm not sure if that would be the case, because short selling when you get them, you would sell them to someone else. So whoever bought that stock that you short sold would get the dividend, because you don't actually own it at the time. As I was saying, so a short squeeze happens when the pressure gets to be on that person that short sold. They can no longer afford to pay those monthly interest fees, or they can no longer afford to put up enough capital to hold that particular stock, since the price has gone up and it's caused their account to go into balance. Their only option is to buy back the shares in the market so that they can give the shares back to their broker. So it doesn't matter what price the stock has gone up to. If you try to short sell it at $10, and guess what? These shares are now trading at $100. I have to go back into the market and buy those 10,000 shares at $100. So I have to reinforce that new price point, which, although that price point is ridiculous, I have to reinforce it and buy there. And unfortunately, there were a lot of people who were short GameStop, and the squeeze didn't stop at 100. People had to buy it 100. People had to buy it 200. People had to buy it 300. People had to buy it 400, and kept setting the price ever higher. But the one thing that was interesting there is the level of short selling. This is why this was never going to happen to AMC. When GameStop was being short squeezed, they had 118% of the floating shares shorted. So collectively, Wall Street or whatever speculators were short selling, they had literally sold 18% more than every single floating share in the market. That is absolutely insane. For AMC, I think they're only at 24% of floating shares shorted, so they're nowhere near where GameStop was. And I think when they had the Volkswagen big one in 2008, 2009, or 2010 or 11, I forget when that was, quite some time ago, they had about 77% of their shares, their floating shares shorted. So there's a certain level at which people get extremely greedy with short selling, and it usually comes to the point where every single one of the floating shares has been shorted. That's typically when you get real big squeezes. Unfortunately for AMC, it's only at 24%. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and by the way, didn't AMC just issue another 49 million shares last week?
They have the option to sell up to 44.
Oh, okay.
But they haven't issued it yet. But exactly, should they issue more, that just gives everybody even more opportunity to cover those new shares that come on the market, right? So yeah, it's very, very unlikely that they're going to be squeezed.
So I have a question just popped up here, and I just want your opinion here because I have no idea. I thought it was illegal to naked short stocks. No idea what that means. Dalt, could you enlighten us if it is illegal or what it means, or one of our other panelists?
No, it is not. No, it is not illegal to naked short. I'm not sure if there's such a term as naked short sell. There is a term called naked call option writing, which means that you don't own the underlying actual stock when you write the call option. That's called naked. But when you short sell, there is no naked. It's just the process of borrowing from your broker and selling them onto the open market.
So I did just Google naked short selling. So it says it's the practice of short selling a tradable asset of any kind without first borrowing the asset from someone else or ensuring it can be borrowed.
Is that possible?
Well, mind you, I am on Wikipedia, so all bets are off.
Yeah,
you need to get the shares. Yeah. You need to get the shares from somewhere first. So
we will be posting.
To be fair, though,
just answered the question. We will be posting the link for Dalton's blog in the comments come after the show. So no worries there.
Didn't GameStop short 18% more shares than they actually had, though? So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's something like that.
Bigger guys can take up all types of leverage. So what had probably happened was the big banks had allowed these big brokers to continue to maybe create their own derivatives to continue to sell. So you would be leveraging all your existing selling position and doubling down on that in some type of way. And when you short sell, the shares don't actually go anywhere. So if I borrow them and I short sell them, someone else had to buy them. But I can always borrow shares from another broker and sell them back and see if I can even borrow them back from the people that I actually sold them to. And so I can resell those again. So it's not uncommon for the amount of shares shorted to be greater than the floating, because I could short sell them to someone else, buy them back, and short sell them again without giving them back to my broker. And so you get over 100%.
Speaking of brokers,
that is a real term. It looks like that is a real term. Good job, Mr. User, Mr. Facebook user.
Another thing is, what are your thoughts on Ally Financial? Now, I don't know if this is a question about buying their stock or using their, because I know Ally is a brokerage, if I'm not mistaken.
Right?
It's a bank or a brokerage. What are your guys' thoughts on using them maybe to buy stocks, or are they a valuable stock to look into? We're not telling you to invest. This is just educational purposes only, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank all the 33 followers who are watching right now and showing us love and giving us these questions. Dalt, your thoughts on Ally Financial?
Can I pass it off to Tony and I will Google Ally Financial, because I've never heard of it.
No problem. Let's throw Tony on here. Dalt has been talking for a bit. Tony, what are your thoughts on Ally Financial?
I did see, I know they're a bank, and I did see their stock was up recently.
They're an online bank.
Yeah, it's an online bank, right? I really don't know much about them. Like, what is he at? I'm not sure what the question is. Like, is it a good purchase or is it a good bank?
I mean, as a bank, so it's there's an online bank. There's also a brokerage.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a higher interest rate since it's online. All the online banks like Discover, Ally, they all offer higher interest rates, but because of COVID, obviously they're down a lot anyways. But for example, like Bank of America, if you put your money in a savings account, you're gonna get like 0.001% on your interest. But if you go to Ally Bank or Discover, something like that, when it wasn't COVID before, it would be like 1.7% in your savings account. I use Discover actually for my online bank because it's a higher savings account than putting it in like a Bank of America. Yeah. But I don't know if he's asking as a stock, if that's the question, or as a service. But I mean, I've used Ally too, and yeah.
I think they're commented again, and it says, would it be a good buy right now? So I'm guessing they're asking buying the share, would it be, or the stock, if you will, is it a good buy?
Well, I
don't know.
Considering that we're just getting this, we haven't really done our due diligence on it. So we would say, look at their papers or whatever it is that you use to.
I did Google quickly, just look at like their price to book ratio, and I looked at their PE ratio. I mean, they are at 1.3, which I think is a little high for a bank. I know that would be good for a lot of companies, but I know, like, I invested recently in a Bank of America, and they were actually a little under 1-to-1, and they're still not as high as 1.34, I think. So that might mean it's a little bit overvalued right now, but I would pass that off over to Dalt on that one.
Bringing Dalt now on here, who's our resident advisor. Dalt, would Ally Financial be a smart buy, or would you wait for a little while so that it becomes more not overpriced?
Okay, so after my quick look at Yahoo Finance, I can say that they are profitable. They are extremely profitable. They're more profitable than any Canadian bank here. But they're more geared towards loan finances, and so this is going to work well for them over the next 3 to 5 years as interest rates rise.
Yeah.
So last year they made $6 billion worth of revenue, and they had a net income of $1 billion. So 1 for 6. So that is pretty profitable. Our banks here are running in some extremely thin margins, but they seem to be profitable. And even before 2020, their stock was on the rise. But they seem to be making near the same amount of revenue almost every year. So that's a concern. So I would say no, do not buy it here at 55 or whatever it's at. I would wait for a significant dip. If we do get a dip, this might be something that I would look at. I have to have a bigger dive into it and look at insider buying and things like that and market share.
So
I think if you want to go with a bank, I think one of the best ones is Bank of America, to be honest, just because I've done a lot of research on that one, and it's so solid. It's just
it's
incredibly
an established
solid
brand. You can check back their finances like pretty much a century, because they're that old.
Well,
and
it would have been better to buy it at like $35 a share, like I did. It is it is like $42 right now. But I do think it has potential to keep rising to 50 or more, just because of interest rates. And don't forget, this is actually Warren Buffett's second largest holding as well. So
this is true. Which brings me to one of our final questions here. Someone's asked, they have 400 shares, which they bought at $9.23. Which would be the best price for me to wait and sell it at a good price?
400 shares of what?
Yeah,
something at 9.23. I don't know. But generally, what would you, let's say it's Bank of America. Let's say they bought 400 shares of Bank of America.
Definitely. Then you're in the money, my friend, if that's Bank of America. Hold for like 2 years.
Okay. So
I'm assuming he's talking about AMC. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, they just applied here AMC. So
yeah.
All right.
Then that's a good price. It's probably gonna, like I said, I think it's probably gonna get to like the 20s, but it may take a long time, or it may be rapid if the price does shoot up. And to be honest, if it hits like 20 and I had it at $9, I'm out of there. I'm taking that money and reinvesting it into the S&P 500 or something way better than
I would
a movie theater
gone at 14.
Yeah, exactly. I would probably already would have sold it last week when it shot up to like 15 or whatever. But
yeah, you're gambling now at this point.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because where is that question that I had? There we go. So I recently watched on Netflix Money Explained, and they were talking about day trading is considered gambling. One of their episodes was talking about Robinhood and all this, because over 20. It's a great show. If you haven't watched it, please watch the any of the explains on Netflix, because they are very educational. But the person's sorry that they got here. It's okay. Their question is it true that day trading rule will apply to us? However, if we have more than 25K invested, but but it includes crypto.
I don't think there are day trading rules for crypto. I could be wrong about that, but I'm assuming this person's using Robinhood. So if you do have $25,000 in Robinhood, then the day trading rule doesn't apply to you. And as far as crypto, I don't think there are day trading rules for crypto, but I could be wrong. You have to ask Dalt or Andrew about that.
Dalt or Andrew, can you jump in and explain maybe if there's day trading rules for crypto, if you guys know?
I'm in Canada, so I had never heard of that
I'll
rule
Google it.
until I started interacting with the stock market group a little more.
Mhm.
So that is a rule that's passed down from the U.S. government or SEC or whoever it be, that you need 25,000 in your account in order to day trade, which is, I guess, that's buying or selling the same stock 3 times in a week or something. They've applied some sort of arbitrary number or thing on it.
So,
I wasn't aware that any of those rules exist here.
yeah, what I'm reading is there's no pattern day trading rule with cryptocurrencies, and you can if you open a $200 account and you wanted to buy and sell as many as you wanted, you can. That's what I'm reading online.
Okay, there you go.
And to Dalton's point, that day trading rule doesn't apply to all brokerages. It's Robinhood.
It's
It's a couple
specifically
of them.
the retail investors brokerage.
Well, it's a pattern day trader rule that is defined by FINRA, but for some reason I don't have that rule in Fidelity. I can trade as many times as I want all day long. So I don't know why it applies to Robinhood. It might be because all of their accounts are margin accounts, which I found that out when I tried to transfer my account to Fidelity. It transferred everything as a margin, and I called Fidelity and I was like, I didn't have a margin account. And Fidelity told me that Robinhood does that with all their customers. They transfer everything over as margin, even if you've never done any type of margin account or options or anything. They automatically put it as a margin account. So I had to call Fidelity to have it taken out of margin. So
Excellent.
Goodness.
One thing that someone just asked here, and we touched on this last time we were here, but I want to touch on it again. They heard Safe Moon is not safe at all, and this is correct. Oh wait, sorry, wrong comment. There's a lot of talk of Safe Moon. Is it a good buy? What is it? What is a good buy right now? And as you can tell, everybody on the panel, including me, I have barely anything invested in crypto. We stay away from Safe Moon because it's not a safe moon. Correct, Tony?
Yeah, the reason people buy these ridiculous coins is because they're really, really cheap. Really cheap. So they try to get in on the ground floor. And like Phil said, check out that Money Explained on Netflix. They talk about these pump and dump schemes where it's beneficial for people to get in very early. And the people that do get in very early will make some money on it if they get out quick enough. But it's the old adage where greed kicks in and people they try to make too much money and they end up losing it all. But
just to jump in really quick, I highly doubt a lot of people realize Dogecoin can't ever get to what Bitcoin got to ever, because Bitcoin has a cap on it in terms of how many Bitcoins there are. Dogecoin doesn't. So it's going to be Dogecoin is going to always be worth a lot less. It might get to maybe one day in 10 years, who knows, it could be at $10 or $20, but it's never going to hit like 50, 60,000. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it can't do that. A lot of new investors.
You're right. I was reading that it would need to hit like a market cap of a number I can't even pronounce in order for it to.
There's a lot of zeros afterward, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of zeros and commas.
Yeah. So.
Just checking here to see if there's any other questions here. Here's one. Will banks be threatened by DeFi or certain cryptos, or will they get on board and move the Chainlink, for example? Move with the change. I apologize. What are your guys' opinions on this? This will be our final thing because we are running close to an hour here. Do you think banks are going to jump on the crypto world? I know, Dalt, in Canada, there's some stuff going on, but I'm interested to hear from Tony and Andrew.
Yeah, I think they already are. I mean, we're seeing banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America. They're actually trying to even create their own digital coins and currencies. So I wouldn't say the banks are the biggest threat. I think the biggest threat are the government regulations. But as I think about it, I think government regulations may be a good thing, because they can establish some type of regulating body like an SEC or SIPC insurance and FINRA, things like that protect you with stocks. Maybe there'll be something like that to protect you with crypto. So if someone hacks your account, you don't lose it all. So I don't know. We'll see. It's TBD.
That's right. Dalt, do you want to touch in on this right now?
Yeah.
Considering the Canadian side, since we have both Canadians and Americans in our group.
Yep. Yeah. So Ethereum was developed in Canada. Go Canada. Woo. Banks will certainly be threatened by decentralized finance. I don't know, like banks will try to create their own, but the whole point of decentralized finance is that no bank runs it, no central authority runs it. So for that reason, they will never gain the type of market share that say Ethereum or Bitcoin has, and all the other decentralized coins. I have used many. I've been investing in this space for years, for 4 years now. And seeing where it was and where it's come to now, there were thousands of ICOs that happened in 2017 and 2018, and maybe only 10 or 20 of those actually have built platforms today. You know, your Aragons, Augurs, these guys actually took the money and actually built on what they were supposed to do. But the vast majority of them are actually scams. So, but the best way to actually see how these things work is to actually get on and use them. So I encourage everybody to use like Augur's prediction betting platform. Bet if it's going to rain tomorrow. Bet if LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to win another NBA championship. Bet on all these weird worldly events happening. You know, go on Aragon. Anybody that's a business owner. You can incorporate companies, have board meetings at way cheaper than going to like a lawyer. If you want to issue shares to, you can do that on Aragon at a fraction of the cost of going to a lawyer. There's a lot of really good platforms built on Ethereum's blockchain and upcoming Binance's blockchain now, which is already proof of stake, so it's much cheaper than Ethereum's. So these types of things will have use cases. I really think that as far as decentralized applications go, 5 to 10 years from now, we will all be interacting with blockchain-based applications on a weekly basis, because they're fun to use and you can get around doing really expensive things that you normally have to go through lawyers or government for. So it's not even about profit. Like a lot of people like to think of the coin's profit. Forget about the profit. It's really about the usability and the utility of these things. You know, what are you actually going to be able to do on these platforms? And unfortunately for Safe Moon and all these other things, they don't really do anything. It's a Ponzi scheme. You just kind of sit and wait and hope that enough people come and wait after you so you can make money. But most Ethereum decentralized applications, most Binance decentralized applications have real world applications. And that's what's most important moving forward.
I guess this will be, I want to touch on this. Someone's asked about Ethereum ETH. They bought a whole portion at 4K. What do you guys think? Should they get out? Should they wait till they get their money 3 months from now? What are your advice to this person regarding ETH and when they should jump in and out?
Hold.
So yeah, hold. You got to hold, but volatility is absolutely insane. So you really have to hold. I bought 5 tokens below $100. That was a long time ago. It went up to 1,000. It went up or 900 and change, and then it fell back down to 200. It fell back down to 100, and now it's back up at over 4,000 US. But again, when I invested in that I only invested $1,000 at that point in time, or just under so. And the thing is that was only like 1 to 2% of my entire investment portfolio at the time. So it wasn't 50% of my portfolio and it wasn't 100% of my portfolio. It was just money that I threw there, and I was like, you know what? What the hell?
It's your gambling money. When you go to the casino or something like that, you're just like, I'm prepared to lose this.
I was expecting to lose it all. Yeah, I was expecting to lose it all. And you know what? It was money that I could recover from, and I wouldn't miss it. But now it seems like everybody is investing and getting overly exposed to cryptocurrency. They have 50% of their entire, net worth in crypto, and that investing in that way doesn't make much sense. But because with these types of things, you really have to hold until they become mainstream. Like nobody is really using like Ethereum dApps like every day. When it does come a time when, you know, big Fortune 500 companies are using like Aragon to conduct board meetings, then you're going to see like Ethereum really be worth something. But right now, you just kind of have to sit on it and hold. Like I've been sitting on holding for years. It's over 4,000 now, and I have, you know, tens of thousands of dollars of profit. But it's still going to sit there and continue to sit there because we're not even mainstream yet.
Okay. Tony wanted to touch on something specifically. You wanted to touch on SNDL, and that we'll leave at that.
Yes.
So,
Well,
and
Andrew,
then we'll
do you
say
want
goodbyes.
to? Do you want to talk about anything with crypto? Or are you good?
Briefly, I could touch on crypto. I mean, I think going back to what Dalton was saying, most people, there's a lot of new investors right now, and a lot of people are just investing for the short term. It's just speculation. They're trying to make quick money. They're trying to become rich. They see people, that one guy who got rich off GameStop on the Wall Street's Bets forum. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to replicate that. So when it comes to cryptocurrencies, a lot of people are trying to do that. They're not thinking about long-term strategies. I mean, going back to things like ETFs and, you know, holding for the long term, nobody's really doing that, it seems. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Excellent. All right, Tony, we'll bring you back on and you can touch on SNDL and then we'll say our goodbyes.
So listen, Sundial, right? It's a very popular stock around the internet. A lot of people are talking about it on this page. I get asked, it seems like we get this question at least once every couple days. And someone asked, should I buy Sundial or should I buy VOO, the S&P 500? So here's what I would say to that. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you like investing in companies that routinely lose hundreds of millions of dollars a year? Or do you like investing in companies that are market leaders, large cap, reputable, profitable companies? If you like investing in companies that hemorrhage cash every quarter and lose hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and I'm not exaggerating, then go with Sundial. If you like losing that type of money, go with Sundial. If you want to actually invest in companies that are profitable, go with the S&P 500. So that's my take on that.
Excellent. Tony, we're going to end here. Where can they listen to? Where can they find you and learn more about investing as a beginner with your stuff?
Well, the Stock Bros Podcast. Obviously, you guys seen it all over the page. You can find us there. And also, you can check out my course I just created on Udemy. I have some links around there too. Like we could add all of our links on, you know, all of our podcast links and stuff.
We'll be in
the yeah.
In the comments of this video, we'll have those as well for you.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say too is I understand that last year all these pot stocks jumped up hundreds of %. We were in a lockdown. People thought that pot was going to be legalized really quickly for some reason. I don't know why. People thought that it was going to be legal within a couple months. This is something that these legislators have been fighting about for 100 years now. This isn't going to be something that's going to just be made legal overnight. This could take years and years. And could Sundial make some money, or could the stock go up years from now? Maybe, yeah. But could they also go out of business before that happens? Yes. I mean, look at their balance sheet. They don't make any profits. They actually lose so much money.
There's nothing really proprietary about doing that. Anybody can copy that business model. Am I right?
And I think states are going to create their own growing farms, and a lot of people are going to be buying weed from the states. So. And from local municipals. So that's going to take a lot of the market shares. So yeah, anyway, sorry, that was my rant for the day.
No, it's fine because it is, we have been seeing questions about different types of weed stocks and marijuana stocks in the group. So I'm thankful that you've touched on it. I'm just going to remove you from the thing, just from the conversation for now. Get Dalt to say his goodbyes and that. So thank you, Tony, for being a member. And Dalt, where can our loyal listeners find you? How can they reach out to you? And more importantly, your final thoughts on the episode.
So yeah, you can find me as always. You know where I'm at. I'm always in the stock group or writing my blogs on bantoncourtcapital.com/blog. You can find me on Instagram as well. My last name, Rismay, Rismay Life. Brisme Life. You can find me there. I do live videos every Saturday, and I have a lot of investing content that I post throughout the week. And actually, for Sundial, I did cover that in my most recent article titled "Meme Penny Stocks: Can They Really Make You Rich?" So I did cover Sundial, and just so everybody knows, Macro Axis, a data company, did state that Sundial has a bankruptcy probability of 73% as of right now. So, and I did give bankruptcy probabilities for all the hype stocks that I talked about in that article. So for anybody that's interested, you can go and read that. It will be posted in the group. It'll be near the top.
Excellent. Just going to remove you and let our final stock bro give his closing address. Andrew, where apart from obviously being on the one of the members of the Stock Bro podcast, where else can our family of investors find you?
Yeah, so let me just introduce myself because
yes, please.
Nobody really knows. That. Yeah, so my name's Andrew, Tony's brother. We have been running our podcast for about, I don't know, I think since December, so maybe only like 6 months. But I previously had another YouTube channel that still has 50,000 subscribers on it. It was a gaming channel. I don't really use it anymore. I also just finished my associate's degree this semester, and yeah, I also write articles on medium.com. That's just called the Stock Bros. Yeah, me and Tony, we just want to educate people. In any year, I've been investing for a year only. I'm like a newer investor, but I've learned so much. I already have $8,000 for saved up in 1 year for the long term. Tony has even more than that, probably like double. So I mean, you just have to invest in yourself, invest in your future, and yeah, that's pretty much wraps up what I want to say.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Stock Bro number one, Andrew. And of course, I am Phil Better, the podcast mogul. I have a podcast called Invest in Yourself Pod, where I interview entrepreneurs, business owners, and influencers about their journey. I'm helping the boys here. I am a complete newbie. I only have stocks in the companies that I worked for because they had that program. So being a part of this group has taught me a lot. Meeting with Tony, Andrew, Dalt, and of course our CEO, Johnny, about learning all this is us helping you guys because it's important. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for being a part of this show. All your questions are amazing. We wish you all the best and see you guys next week.